started. Let me tell you a little bit about the Help Center and how we originated. That way you'll get an idea of where my compassion and where my energy and why I'm standing in front of you today. I got hired as a case manager for an attorney, for a law firm. And I went right into case management, right in, jumping in 2 feet. Couldn't stay above, keep my head above water, paperwork, case management, filing, initials, learning, da-da-da-da-da. And with the law firm, everything comes with money, right? Attorneys get paid high dollars. And I went into disability to help as many people as I could. But not everybody as a client is valuable to a law firm because they may have no back pay. They may have no money out of pocket. And that attorney has electric bills, leases, everything else. And it goes very impersonal, very fast. And it became, oh, I can't help you because we're not going to sign you and because you're not worth anything. No money to be paid. I'm sorry, I can't service you. Well, so several of the case managers in this law firm and myself had a conscious issue with that. And we started volunteering our time at the front of the law firm and literally just teaching people how to file on their own. Hey, I understand the firm can't sign you and can't file for you, but hey, if you can wait an hour, we'll go out front in the lobby and I'll show you how to do it. I will print the copies, I will explain the questions and how to answer them, how to turn them in. I'll call Social Security, I'll schedule appointments. You'll have to end up doing it, but I'll give you legal guidance without giving you legal guidance. And that's how Disability Help Center was actually founded. That's how it started. It became, people were showing up in the lobby of this law firm to see the Disability Help Center out front and not going in. And it flip-flopped. And literally at that point in time, we had no money. So we started referring to law firms. The law firm behind us, the one across the street, anybody that would take them. And we started receiving donations because we were taking on a huge overburden of clients that nobody would help. And it grew from there. And we got licensed, and our Christmas party went from 2 to 5 to 23 staff members right now, which is pretty fantastic. We have 3 attorneys on file. They're all licensed with the state of California, passed the bar here in the state. Everything's good. And now we not only help people file free, but we also provide legal representation. We're a full service shop from start to finish, from initials to appeals all the way to hearing, even to appeals counsel, which is pretty nice. So it's grown, and that's basically where we're at now. I worked as a case manager continuing through. We hired another coordinator out in the field. There was 2 of us up to just yesterday. Now I'm back to 1, me. But the Help Center is here to basically teach anybody and everybody about disability monies that are available through the federal government and how to go about getting them. No matter race, color, creed, money, no money, it doesn't matter. Anybody that'll listen to me, I want to tell them. I'm inside behavioral health units. I deal with nursing staff. And I just want to teach that there's money there for those that need it the most, those that are battling a mental or physical disability. Okay? So thank you for having me out. Next slide. This is going to be the process. Okay, we represent all of San Diego County. We have 1 location in downtown San Diego. It has grown, like I said, from a 4x8 table at the volunteering at the front of the law firm to about, like I said, I got 7 desks that run anywhere between 5 to 10 appointments every day, all day, Monday through Friday. And it's grown. We actually are in Phoenix, Arizona. Don't have a physical address. I'm in the process of finding a lease building out there and starting that whole process in another whole city. We do represent in the LA Basin, San Bernardino, and our attorneys are traveling to there. We don't have an office location, but a lot of the stuff we do can be done through phone, fax, and email. Okay, and we will work with the local Social Security offices throughout those counties and cities. We provide free assistance to those who are filing for Social Security disability benefits. That is different from retirement, different from widower's benefits, different from any other Social Security monies that you can think of. There are 2 buckets of money set aside for those that are battling disabilities. One of them is SSI, which stands for Supplemental Security Income, and we're going to talk about that today. And then the other is Social Security Disability Insurance, which is for those that have been working and paying taxes. They have created their own insurance policy through the federal government. Obviously, both of these programs are for those with disabilities. But we can help with initial applications, appealing, and also hearing prep. Okay? We are licensed. We are self-sustaining now. We were in the negative for a while, and that's why we were a philanthropic organization, and we did take referral fees to send people out. But now we are self-sufficient, which is a huge stress relieved. Like I said, we have attorneys on file, and we run Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 4. Okay? All right, let's get right into it. There's 2 programs, and that's it, for federal disability money through Social Security. And the first one is SSI, stands for Supplemental Security Income. Okay? It's intended to supplement room and board. It is a federally funded program that comes from general tax dollars. That means that it's not Social Security specific. You don't ever have to have worked and put money into the system to receive that. Okay? There are criteria, obviously, for SSI. You have to prove your disability, permanent and severe disability, unable to work. And SSI, Supplemental Security Income, pays benefits to disabled persons, mentally, physically disabled, who are unable to work. And the other main thing is that their income and assets are so low that they cannot provide room and board for themselves. That's where the name comes from. It's intended to supplement. Yes?
How do you prove it?
How do you prove what? Your income and assets?
No, your disability.
Medical records.
No, okay.
And we're going to go into that. Absolutely. You can tell Social Security a lot of things, and we do see that on a lot of applications. But what it comes down to is medical validation. You're going to have to supply them with the when and the where are you getting treatment for whatever that disability is. And it should be appropriate. If it's mental, there might be a psychiatrist, psychologist involved. If it's joint back pain, orthopedic, surgeon, chiropractor, whatever it is, it's kind of that specialty should go along with whatever the disability is.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Quick question, yes?
Is SSI the same thing as just retirement? Is it the same?
Nope, it's completely separate. SSI and SSDI, like I said, is a disability program money. It's different from retirement. Retirement, how do you get retirement?
Age. Work.
You just live to get to that age and they're going to give you the money, right?
Which is
That's
what
the
age
idea.
now?
It depends. It's 68 and a half for me. The younger generations is most likely going to move on. And Social Security does that to save money.
Okay, 68 and a half.
Well, I don't know what your age is, but there's a formula on Social Security's website, www.ssa.gov, and you can go in there and look, and it'll tell you the date you were born. You just type that in, and it'll tell you what your early retirement age is and what your full retirement age. Okay? And that retirement money is completely separate. It's a waiting game. That's what that is. Okay? So this with SSI, like I said, has to be proof permanent severe disability, and your income and asset level has to be below their mark that they put. And if you meet those 2 criteria, you're eligible for that. Okay, children, they look at the household, and we're going to kind of go into that a little bit. Is that my water? I apologize. Let me break. And no big deal. My throat's going to get dry. Is that what my...
Yeah,
Okay.
it's unopened, it looks like.
Yeah. I apologize. With all my jabbering, I'm going to have a little sore throat. So SSI, eligibility, infant all the way to retirement age. The intention behind this is for those that are unable to work. So a child born with Down syndrome or autism on a high level, for income and assets, obviously they have no income and assets. They're going to look at the household. Okay, they're going to take in consideration how many dependents are in the house, how many elderly people are being taken care of, what kind of income is there. Okay, so SSI benefits also are payable to people 65 and older. You meet the disability requirement of SSI when you turn 65. Thank you, Social Security federal government, for labeling me disabled when I turned 65. And that is the truth still to this day. When you turn 65, you meet the disability requirement. Now, if you meet the income and asset level requirement, you can receive SSI benefits. But at that age, most likely some people are going to be receiving retirement. And what will happen is retirement will kick in, but SSI will pay the delta if there is a difference. Does that make sense? Let me go over that. Okay, next slide. This is a horrible slide, and I'm just going to touch on this. This is they call it a deeming break-even point chart. There's copies on there, but it's small, and I shrunk it just to try to save paper. But basically what they say is they're going to look at the household. Is it parent to child, parent to parent, single family, multiple parent household? How many dependents are in there? How many disabled children? How many elderly? Are you on earned income or unearned income? And they basically say this is the level at which we will reduce your benefits or reduce eligibility. So there's kind of this delta. And this changes every year. I think this is 2013. I haven't updated it. But this is also on the website. And it really is a formula that I don't really care to memorize. It is tough. Specifically, it goes in. And the rule of thumb when it comes to income and assets is about $2,000. They take a 30-day window of your income and assets. Or your income. Let's just start with income. And they'll look at your bank statements. You're going to have to give them your routing numbers to your banks. They're going to want to know how old your cars are, how many cars you have, property, any assets, 401ks, IRAs, anything that's liquid, property in foreign countries, tractors, boats in foreign countries. I mean, they look at everything. And they are aware of a lot of stuff. So basically, remember, this program is intended for those that have low income and assets. If you're driving an Escalade and have boats and properties in Vail and this program is not necessarily for you. You may be permanently severely disabled, but it's intended for those that have low income, low assets. Okay? So about $2,000 is the income level that they're looking at. Social Security says, okay, well, you're allowed to own one vehicle as long as it's not above your means, and you're allowed to own property if you live in it. Okay? If it's not above your means. If you live in Rancho, Santa Fe, and your house payment's $45,000 to $5,000 a month, that may be living above your means. So just take that into consideration. Yes, question?
Is that $2,000 a month?
30-day window. They look at it. Whatever money comes in for 30 days and whatever money goes out, they're going to get a picture. They want to just kind of estimate how much you have coming in and have going out. They're going to look at your bills too, not just how much money's coming in, because cash is hard to follow. But if your bills total $5,000 to $6,000 a month, but you're only showing a check for $1,200, on paper you may show that your only income is only $1,200, but they're going to want to know where that extra $4,800 is coming from to pay your bills. Cash, gifts, all those things they take into consideration. Yes, question?
Okay, some of us are taking care of our monitoring our loved ones that have SSI income coming in. The question is, what is allowable, not allowable for us to help facilitate them that won't go towards that 2,000. In other words, I buy food for my loved one, okay? I buy gas for the car, okay? They don't get the money from me, but I buy those extra services for them.
There is a contract you can sign with a loved one in the house. Our society basically says when people come into our home, our children come back from college or whatever, I absorb the cost of them coming back. I may not charge them rent. Not for electricity, water, food, shelter, basically. What Social Security, they understand that, and they will use that against you. Mm-hmm. But what you have is a contract called a food and shelter agreement. It's something you own the home. You say the room at which they live in is worth or valued this much money. $450, $550, $650, something like that. It's not a dollar for dollar as in, if you say it's worth $2,000, Social Security is not going to either deduct that or add that to their bill. But in reality, San Diego, you can rent a room for $450 to $650, somewhere in there that's decent. So they will take that into consideration, and they will deduct that. Won't add that basically to your income and asset level. Does that make sense?
Right, but I'm calling. I really asked the question on behalf of what I legally can do, which would affect her $2,000 range.
You can't give her cash.
I know I can't.
Okay, but you can buy recliners, you can buy TVs, you can do anything for the health and welfare of that person.
That's right.
You can increase their living environment to no end.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's no limit.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
They're going to look at that window. They're not going to do a home inspection. They're not going to come in and see whether PlayStation 4 has got all the latest games. They're not a giant 60-inch screen TV. They don't look at that. Leather sofas. They don't look at that. What they do look at is if let's say this person has a checking account in their name and you're dropping $1,000 a week into their account. That's what they will see. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Hopefully I answered that
Yes, you did.
correctly. Okay, good. So this is, they take in consideration who's living in the household. And that basically covers SSI. We'll go into SSDI next. But that is one side. And I'm a very visual person. And I like to imagine the Social Security disability as an umbrella. If you open it, you've got basically two sides in the stem. The disability is the umbrella. Now, one side of it is SSI. The other side under that umbrella is going to be SSDI. Okay? So it's very simple. SSI, yes, you have to be able to prove permanent and severe disability, unable to work. And then the other side of SSI or eligibility is income and assets. Okay? So the other side is, yes, question.
Is it total inability to work or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a gray scale there. There really, really is.
So someone can work a little bit.
We're going to touch on that because proving disability is hard. Mental and physical, the combination of both. What it comes down to is occupational function. Lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, vision, sight, speech, sitting, standing, all of those things. And what you do to prove disability is you take whatever your single disability is, and if it eliminates these functions, you just basically take them out. If you can't lift, let's say an amputee on a leg, you're automatically taken out of any physical standing occupation, no matter what. So then you go to sedentary. Okay, now what's keeping that person, single amputee, from doing a sedentary type job? Well, maybe focus, PTSD, unable to show up on time, concentration, agoraphobia, whatever, light sensitivity, hearing sensitivity. You start taking all these other disabilities and say, okay, now at this point in time, we were thinking they could be in sedentary, but with the other mental disabilities, now they're not going to be able to show up. And you have to have a doctor to be able to prove that, though. It's not just saying you can't go there. Well, let's go break that down specifically. Out of a 7-day work week and a 24-hour period day work availability, how many times are they not going to show up? Can they work for 2 hours, sleep for 6, work for 2 more, sleep 6, work for 2? Because how many hours can you work in a day? There's 24 hours in a day. How many days a week can you work? There's 7 days a week. So Social Security looks at it as a human being. Yeah, they might need to work nights. They might need to work in their basement. Maybe they don't communicate. Maybe they fold towels in a basement hotel someplace. Maybe they don't communicate at all. Maybe they work out of their garage, read teleprompter, or maybe they're on the phone. Maybe they don't deal with anybody. There's so many different levels of occupational function, but you got to use your disabilities to just eliminate anything and everything. And the older you get, the easier it is to prove disability. Okay? Does that make sense? When you turn 50, at that point in time, Social Security starts looking at that and saying, okay, 50-year-old is most likely not going to go back and be an Olympic track star. Not going to go back and be a professional runner or a UPS driver. I use that example all the time because it's a very physically and mentally demanding job. All day, 8 to 10 hours a day, physically lifting, lowering, driving, concentration, reading, communicating. So at 50, they don't anticipate you going back and doing that, but you might be able to do something else. Okay? Did I answer your question? Specifically, it's going to be specific to every single disability that you have or anybody has. Okay? And being able to prove that you're not marketable. There's no labor field that you can go in and no one's going to hire you and keep you employed because of your disability. And we can tell Social Security when we fill out our application all these things, but we need to prove it through medical documentation. Okay? So that's SSI. We touched on the disability side. Now, that's a great carryover because being able to prove disability is the same for SSI as it is for SSDI, which is the right side of the umbrella. And that's what this is. Social Security Disability Insurance. And I hate that word, insurance. Because a lot of people, younger generations, don't realize that is there. You say Social Security and they automatically think what? Retirement. That's the only thing anybody ever thinks of when you say Social Security. But when you're working and you're paying FICA, it's not a mandatory tax line item. But when you're working, most employers, because most employers don't offer a long-term disability insurance program, they will automatically pay this little FICA line item, FICA, and it's a very small percentage, and you're starting to buy a long-term disability insurance program through the federal government. Federal government is the biggest insurance carrier we have. Take anybody by surprise? You probably all knew that. When I heard that, I almost fell out of the chair. I was all, what? So, Social Security Disability Insurance is a federal insurance program in the United States government. Eligibility is based on taxes paid, and it's very specific to you and you only. I cannot relay mine to my brother or my sister or my friend, and there's very specific rules about my tax credits. Retirement is different. Remember, that's a whole separate bucket. This line item is very specific to disability insurance, and I'm putting it in my own bucket. And it's there, and I have to put a lot of them in there. Every year that I'm eligible to work, they start calculating how much I'm supposed to have put in there. Okay? And it's not transferable, like I said. And it's an insurance plan. It does not last forever. It's not like retirement, as if I win when I get that age. That's not how this works. You're buying it. It's active when you have enough widgets in that bucket. And then, if you have enough in there, it may extend out, or you get fully vested. You know what fully vested is? Okay? And we're going to start talking about that. But it's you and you only. I'm buying an insurance plan, so in case I ever become disabled, I can apply to get my tax dollars back for me. And I have to fight tooth and nail to get my tax dollars back to me. That's why I do what I do. I don't know. So anyway, it's and both SSI and SSDI come with insurance carriers. Okay, so Social Security Disability Insurance comes with Medicare. SSI comes with Medi-Cal, and that is forced by the federal government. Whichever state you live in says you need to basically give this person, whoever receives SSI, the bare minimum medical insurance that the state provides. If there is, go to Arizona, there is none. But in California, you get Medi-Cal. Okay? So you get Medicare with this. In order to qualify for SSDI benefits, you must have earned the minimum amount of credits and have earned some of those credits in the last 5 out of 10 years. As in, they don't last forever. They have an expiration date. Retirement, I just got to get there and I'll get the money. But these, I have to have worked recently, because that insurance plan, what happens? Car insurance. When you stop paying your car insurance, what happens to your insurance policy? It's gone. 30 years of good service, paying your bills on time, no help. Do they care? You stop sending the check, they stop covering you. Well, Social Security says, okay, the more tax dollars you put in, we're going to give you a grace period. Okay? And they say, and the longest I've ever seen it extend out is about 5 years. So if you stop working in 2005 and you've worked for 30, 40 years, most likely 2010 is going to be your expiration date on this insurance plan. Okay? So let's talk about that some more. The number of work credits needed for disability benefits depends on your age, when you became disabled. Now that's kind of a loaded statement right there. You need 40 credits, 20 of which are earned. Now what is a credit? It's that one widget. Out of a 3-month period, you basically have to have earned a little over $1,010. In 3 months, a quarter. You're only allowed to get 4 credits a year. So for every 3 months, if you earn $1,010 and pay FICA taxes on that that $1,010, you get 1 credit. Now what happens in that 3 months if I make $10 million? I pay a lot of FICA taxes, right? How many credits do you think I get for making $10 million in that 3 months? 1 credit. Thank you again. And that's major. The amount of SSDI money you're going to get back is dependent on your percentage of money you've basically earned. The more money you made, the higher the percentage doesn't change, but the more money you put in the bucket, and the money returning is going to basically be proportional to what you put into it. Okay? So you have to have earned those credits within the last 10 years. The rules are as follows, and they say because a 24-year-old may not have as many years been able to work and earn those credits, so they'll break them down. They'll cut them basically in half is what they say. Okay? And so on and so forth. They give you the benefit of the doubt the younger you are. But then on the other hand, the older you are, if you've been eligible to work in the United States for 40 years, you have to have more credits. They say you should have been contributing more. Okay, and we're going to go to that chart next. Right here, based on your age. The older you are, the more credits you have to be fully vested. Not just eligible, but fully vested. Okay? If you have less than these, you're going to receive less of your money back. Make sense? Pretty cut and dry. This is not a retirement plan for retirement Social Security, but this is the disability credit. Yeah?
So when you're talking about income, are you only talking about income earned where you get a W-2? What about contract work where there isn't any tax paid into it for SSI?
Like 1099.
Yeah, for 1099.
If you pay the FICA line item tax, you're contributing to this. It's not mandatory. And a lot of like PERS, people who work for the like school districts, sheriffs, they have union benefits that offer them long-term insurance benefits, so they choose not to pay FICA. So they're not eligible for this because they're not buying the insurance plan. But I think I got lost.
Yeah, I think I got lost too. So I thought for SSI though, that's different though.
Yes, the eligibility for that is disabled, low income, low assets.
Okay.
On this side, on SSDI, it's disabled, but you just have to have enough work credits.
Okay, but again, the credits are based on let's say you've got a 1099, you've never contributed to the FICA system, then 0 credits.
You're not eligible.
Got it. So contract work is a negative
if you're not paying that line item, and a lot of people do that. A lot of construction independent contractors, 1099, they're legal. They go in and they submit their income taxes and they pay what they have to. And a lot of CPAs, a lot of people who do taxes say, okay, we'll take off all the unnecessary stuff. This is one of those taxes that they will wipe away because you don't necessarily have to have it. And you literally just would go, the first question you ask when you call Social Security is your Social Security number. They know what you've paid and what you have not paid. If I'm going to SSI or www.ssa.gov is Social Security's website. They want everybody to go in and create a profile, and you guys can check and see how many credits you have available, how much retirement, all that good stuff. I would encourage you to do that. You guys remember the 2-page form they used to send out? It shows you how many years you've been alive and eligible to work and how much taxes you get if you're retired or disabled. Well, underneath that retirement, most people don't follow past that, but it says if you ever become disabled, that tells you how much money you would be getting back monthly. That's what we're talking about right here. This is that bucket of money. Okay? How do I actually file? Okay, so basically those are the 2 programs, guys. You've got SSI on one side, disability, low income, low assets. SSDI on the other side. Disability, obviously permanent severe, and have enough work credits. You have to be one or the other to get disability money through Social Security. Okay, if you're not eligible, you're not eligible. You can go back and amend your taxes for the last 10 years and pay those taxes if you want to get eligible on the SSDI side. And the reasoning behind the SSI on low income, low assets, because let's say you get a lot of money. Let's say you're wealthy. Social Security, the SSI, the first word is supplemental. It's intended to supplement. If you have enough money, income, and assets to take care of yourself or to support yourself, the federal government's not going to step in and give you any more money to do it. Okay? It's just intended there for low income, low assets. Okay? So how do we actually file? Once we've kind of I think I'm eligible, I'm not sure. Kenny gave me so much crazy information, I don't know. How do I find out? Well, first thing you do is you can call Social Security, or you can go on the website. Go on the website, ssa.gov. It's super simple. Okay, you build a profile and you can go specifically to yours and they update it quarterly and you can see how your tax dollars are accruing. Okay, via phone, call the Social Security Administration, and in person. If you want to go down to the DMV on a Saturday and hang out, that's kind of what it's like. A lot of people, a lot of numbers, what window, very impersonal. What I tell people is if you've got the function and the resources, get online and start reading. Go online. You can fill the applications out online. There's a lot of applications, but you can fill them out. And then if you don't, you want to call and schedule an appointment with your local Social Security office. And that's the key. It might be a week out, so it gives you a little time. They're going to still mail stuff out. You're still going to have to sign stuff. But that way you can still go to the office, but you're not going down there and waiting for the next available. You've got an appointment time. They'll still send you a worksheet that tells you what you're supposed to get and bring and have, ID, passport, all that good stuff. But that's what I would always tell people. Just call, schedule an appointment, write it in your calendar, and try to get there. Okay? We do a lot of that. Just guidance. People come and say, I don't know what to do. Okay, come and sit down. Let's get started. Let's figure out where you're at, what we can do. First, we're going to assess, figure out, is it SSI, is it SSDI, is it both, is it one or the other? We don't know. If they want to find out, we do three-way phone calls with Social Security. Obviously, I cannot call Social Security and get your information. If you're sitting across the desk from me, I can do a conference call, and they're going to ask you 5 or 6 valid questions about you, Social Security number, place of birth, mother's maiden name. You're going to need to know all that stuff. But you can answer those too. Okay? All right. Applications. These are the applications. 40 pages. Did I do the math right? Disability report, authorization, disclose information, supplemental security income. 22 pages. That's a big one. That asks a lot of questions. Everyone who lives in the household. What you own, bank statements. That's the SSI one is very long. It doesn't go into the disability side very much. This one is trying to find out how much you're worth. Right to the point. Okay. The disability insurance application, SSDI, is separate, and it basically, based on your Social Security number, it's going to go right into most of the medical stuff. With all these applications, these reports, you're going to tell Social Security everything. And the point I want to make is that a lot of people think I have to have my medical records here right now before I start filling out this application. I have to have all my ducks in a row before I make that phone call, before I get the process started. And that's not the case. If you think you're going to file. Get it started. Get that process going. There's going to be a lot of question and answers, a lot of forms, applications, signature pages, information that they're going to need. And even if you think you have it all done, you're not. They're going to need more stuff. So get the process started, and they will help you through it. Or find an advocacy group that will help you get started. There's several reasons for that. One is that the process is going to take a long time, no matter what. Quickest I've ever seen is about 4 months. 4 months. Child born, whatever it is. VA benefits, 100% doctor says permanent, unable to work, meets criteria, everything. 4 months from application to check in hand. That's just how long a speedy process lasts. But I've seen them go 4 years, 5 years. Okay? So starting the process.
Are you working with one person in that period or a group of people?
Well, we work with all kinds of people from anywhere in the application. So yes, this is the initial start. And each claim has a life. There's an initial application, you can get denied, you file an appeal. If you get, and this may take 6 months, you get denied. And they give you 60 days to file the appeal. And we're going to talk about that more. And then you got the first appeal. Okay, then you put everything back on Social Security's end. And then it starts going. And this is just one person going through the process. And then 3 or 4 months later, you get a denial. Well, we've got 10 months under our belt from initial application. And we've got denied twice. The second appeal is called the request for a hearing with an administrative law judge. And that process, waiting takes 12 to 15 months to get in front of a judge. So we've initial, first appeal, second appeal, hearing. That is all one long process. And at any point in time, it can stop for incarcerations. You missed your 60-day window to file your appeal. You give all that 6-10 months up. You start over. Initial application, 40 pages, square one. Now we're on first appeal. You're only allowed to have one application going through Social Security at a time. And the amount of times you can apply is unlimited. Okay? Does that make sense? So the process can be long. I encourage anybody and everybody to get started as soon as possible. Okay? These forms will need to fill out prior. Sometimes it helps to get somebody to look at those applications or someone to guide you through them. Because there's questions like, do you go to the movies? Does that sound like a loaded question to you guys? Why do you think they care if you go to the movies?
It costs money.
Money's one thing. Can you sit in the dark with a bunch of strangers that you don't know? Can you show up on time? Can you stand loud noises? Can you be in large groups of people? Can you hear? Can you see? Can you sit for more than an hour and a half? And if it's one of the Lord of the Rings, can you sit for 3.5 hours? So that's what they're after. They're after function, what we were talking about earlier. And sometimes just a quick explanation of that. Every word, every answer, everything you give to Social Security, they're looking for how is this proving disability or not proving disability. Okay, question?
I don't know if you said this or not, but if you're applying for SSI, do you also have to fill out the forms for SSDI?
You don't have to.
Okay,
No.
all right, thank you.
If you know specifically what you're applying for, you can apply for individually.
Okay,
If you don't know, you apply for both.
okay.
And they will, the first letter you'll get is you've been denied, you don't have enough work credits. Or we see the company you own, or whatever it is, wealth. If they automatically take you out of it, then you want to apply for one or the other. Okay? The process is the same for a child, but the actual application forms are age specific to that child. Yeah, and on top of these general applications, a child application process is about 3 more of these. It's almost 60 more pages of stuff. That also includes birth records, individual education plans, IEPs, stuff like that. So it's a lot. It is a lot of applications there. How are we doing on time? Okay. How long does the process take? And I just covered that a little bit. And I also threw in some of the percentages of denials and why advocacy groups and why attorneys, why there's people out there to help them through the process. You would think that if I'm disabled and it's my tax dollars, I should be able to just go in, this is who I am, and the tax dollars comes back to me. But that's not the case. Okay? 3 to 5 months for the initial claim decision, for a decision. Okay? 70 to 80% of all initial claims are denied. Why do you think they do that?
Discourage you?
There you go. Time is on their side, not ours. They're out of money. They leveraged that money a long time ago. Okay? So they know that less than 50% of those denials come back. So from initial application, 70 to 80% get denied right off the bat. And then 50% come back. They just cut their losses tremendously. Okay? So once denied, you have 60 days, and I talked about that. If you do not file within that 60 days, you'll have to start the process over. Go back to initial. Yes?
So should you send it certified?
Certified?
Your application because of the 60 days?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Signature. And like I normally, we do everything online. Everything can be done on the web. We try to get away from mailing anything to Social Security. And if you do want to walk something in, it's not the only copy. It can't be. It better not be. And you get it time-stamped. Page by page by page by page. Because if it's the 3 pages we need, they will have lost it. Okay? We never give them hard copies of anything. But everything is pretty much electronics. Now in my office, we scan everything in and basically just send it via everything. And we get via confirmations through electronics and everything else. So that's the quickest, easiest way to do it. So yes, if you do mail something in, make sure it's not the only copy and get it certified and get a signature online. Absolutely. Okay? So helping filling out paperwork, what we do. Once what is this guy? Okay, time frame of statistics. Okay, once appealed, it takes 3 to 5 months before SSA decides. 80-90% of appeals are denied. Again, you have 60 days. So that's that process. Initial first denial. The first appeal is called the request for reconsideration. 60 days you file. It basically opens it back up. Now, let's say we've got new medical information, because when we fill out these applications, we're giving them all of our personal information, and including is all the doctors we're going to validate what our disabilities are, because we have to tell them what our disabilities are. If you don't know the specifics, you just tell them what you know. The medical records are going to come back, and what happens is, because you don't have to have them with you, you just need to tell Social Security where you went to the doctor, what dates. So they have it's like a time frame bracket. I was at Tri-City Hospital for these 3 ER visits. And so they'll go, and in 2010, from June to December, I was in Tri-City, and they'll go get those medical records. They say they'll go get them. Then I was at Palomar. I was at Pomerado. I went to Scripps. I went to Aurora. I went to I've got all these. And that's just for my psych. Then let's go over to my foot doctor when I had surgery. And I list all of them. I give them all 5. I give them all 10 to Social Security, filling them out online and on the application. Now, it's Social Security's responsibility to go get those medical records. They send electronic requests to those medical sources and get those records in a perfect world. Yep.
So do we only have to do the one authorization for them, permission for them to get it, or we have to give permission to people giving?
You give authorization to either your advocacy group or you give Social Security permission. You sign it once.
But we don't necessarily have to go to the people providing it?
No, Social Security needs to provide your authorization to Social Security to get those. And you only sign one. With us, we have you sign 5 or 6. Because if 6 months goes by and you go to request, well, we need a current, disclosure of information form, and so we have files on file, and we just go. So, once again, you've given all the information, they deny you, you supply them, sometimes you give them new information. New stuff has happened. New medical sources, bracket, time frames have changed, or not. So you reiterate all the same stuff back to them within that appeal process, and you just keep moving forward. Even at hearing level, 50%, like I said, the 12 to 15 months is a big hitter. There is, regionally, there's Social Security offices all over San Diego County. And wherever your address is, you'll be working with your local Social Security office. They are the administrative body that takes care of your paperwork. They are not the ones that decide whether you're disabled or not. You fill out these applications. Social Security makes sure that all your forms are filled out. All the signatures are correct. Your time frame, your Social Security number, everything matches from an administrative side. They send this file to what they call the DDS, the Disability Determination Service. And that service decides whether you're medically disabled or not. It's full of doctors, nurses, clinicians, whoever, and they evaluate, they retrieve your medical records from the sources that you provided, and they're the ones that send a yes or a no back to Social Security. You either meet disability requirements or you don't. Okay? So when I told this young lady earlier, it's a gray scale when it comes to disability, because we have to list all of our disabilities individually and have medical records to support that. If there's just one, there's no one make it or break it unless that disability takes you out of every single function, period. If you have several things that make you special, and one is, takes you out of physical, one takes you out of concentration, and so on. And there, the Disability Help Center, or not the Disability Help Center, the Disability Determination Service, that medical field, they look at it as a whole and give you a yes or no stamp and then send it back to Social Security. Okay? And then Social Security will send out a denial. And they will say, we've got these medical records, we've got these from your sources. And it's usually less than 50% of the medical sources that you provided, they have retrieved medical records back from. Yeah. Okay?
You also have to have credits.
Oh yeah, you have to be eligible to even get to that process.
Right.
First thing they do is Social Security number. If you're not eligible based on something, you don't even get to the medical source. When you apply, the first thing they do is try to eliminate you from applying. It's not negative, that's reality. They're looking on there making sure you're even eligible. Who are you? Are you eligible to apply for which program? And then they'll go to the medical sources, because that costs time and money and energy. And if they don't have to get to that, they'll deny you right out of the gates. Okay? Questions?
I just did the math, and it looks like 3% are approved.
That's probably about right. Yeah.
Okay, how about, is it different for psych?
There is not a better disability versus a lesser one. It's just the level at which that disability affects your occupational function. It's the level at which you specifically. People say, well, I want to file for mental because mental's stronger. I can prove more of that, or whatever the case may be. It's just the support you have from your medical doctors. You can tell Social Security whatever you want. But if your medical records come back and use words like mild, not severe, not permanent, but temporary and mild and occasional, those records are not painting the permanent and severe unable to work forever. This is not temporary disability. This is forever.
Could you ask your doctor that you want to see what they submit before they submit it?
Absolutely. Will they tell you? Most likely not. But you can get your medical records. Kaiser's great now. Scripps is going into it. These other healthcare providers, you can log in now, create a profile, and you can go get whatever medical records you want. Now, state of California, there's some very specific limitations on mental records floating around. You most likely may not even be able to get your own. Okay, and it'll take Social Security, not subpoenaing them, but requesting them and cutting you out of the middle. Yes, question?
Yeah, I've had experiences, and I just throw it out in the wind. You really need to try to get a hold of the medical record being submitted, because you'll find out that doctors leave out little parts of the form because they do it in haste. And that little part of the form can reject the form totally. And I've had that experience with my daughter, and it was a very simple question, and it had to do with time. What did they do with their time? And he skipped through it. The whole other form was very well written out. The diagnosis, everything else was perfect, but they rejected that particular application.
Because of that one line item.
So you have to become your own advocate.
You really do. And getting those medical records it's getting easier. It really is. And any help, especially if you're doing it on your own, I would encourage you to get those medical records. Now, you're still going to have to submit. Social Security is still going to request those right on top of your copies. They may request and get their own set of copies. Cut you out of the middle. Cut us out of the middle. Why do you think they will do that? Fraud.
Oh, just to compare, yeah.
You know, 5 pages gets skipped off the very end. Then we talked about drug use and consistent incarceration. And those 5 pages, they got the fax machine ate them. I'm sorry. You know, it happens. Oh, sorry. You were first.
I have one question. It's kind of off topic, but do you have to pay taxes on SSDI? Like, is that part of your regular income too?
No.
Okay.
Depends. You're not making enough. Your tax bracket's not going to spike where you're going to have to pay income tax on it. No.
Yeah.
But some of the SSDI money, doctors, substantially, people who've made lots of money and paid a lot of money in, and they're starting to get back, yes, they will end up paying taxes. They will, if they make enough back on SSDI, they will have to file taxes on that. And it's a percentage, but it's a high level. You have to have a high amount of money coming back from SSDI.
Remember, this is being recorded, so and also I think we already hit 7.
Okay.
So I'm just
Cool.
being mindful of time. Why don't we let Kenny finish the presentation and then go with the 3-stage question and answer process.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll get your question. And I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here all night. Okay. So percentages, you can see that. It's just hard to get your tax dollars back. Point being. Okay. Back pay. This is the other reason why I say we want to file as quickly as possible. Because the second you start this application, you may receive back pay. When you are granted benefits, whether it be 6 months, a year, 3 years down the road, Social Security is going to go back and say, well, it took us that long to figure it out. So we're going to start paying you your monthly amount that you should have been getting from second one when you filed your application. Okay? And that could be a substantial amount of money. So that's why I also tell people, file immediately. Get that back pay started. Especially, it's at the cut at the end of the month. So if it's the 30th, you're going online and you're going to type in your name and your Social Security number, and if that's all we can get, that's what we're starting with. And if it takes us a week, 2 weeks to get the rest of the information in there, so be it. We're not going to give up another month's back pay to do paperwork. It's worth the $500, $800, $1,200, whatever it is to do that. Okay? So client files a claim. The moment they file there, start accruing back pay. Okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit about how attorneys and advocacy groups get paid if they're representing you legally. Okay? You can get an advocacy group or an attorney anywhere along the process. From initial application, appeal, first appeal, second appeal, all the way to hearing, and even an appeals counsel after that. Okay? If that firm or that group signs you and they're doing the work for you, and you basically have pushed the paperwork across the desk, and you want them to do it, they're entitled to 25% of that back pay. One time, only if you win. Those are the rules set by Social Security, monitored by Social Security. There is never any out-of-pocket money from client to advocacy group or firm or attorney. It all goes through Social Security. You have to be registered with Social Security, and it's never guaranteed. Okay? So an advocacy group, attorney, a law firm, just like ours, if I'm doing your paperwork for you and I'm representing you, I only get paid if I win your claim, and my attorneys only get paid. And it's one time. Nothing moving forward. Okay? And I don't want to work on a claim for 3 years. I want to work on a claim for 6 months. I want to get you paid, be done, and move on. Okay? There is a stigma out there that says attorneys they'll drag their feet because it's a percentage of your back pay. It doesn't work out mathematically. To drag everybody along, I don't have enough office space and staff to do that. We want to win your claim. We want to get you paid and move on. Okay? So that's, just so you know, that's how Social Security works. All right? If you are found favorable, SSI claim back pay, and what they do is that lump sum money that gets paid. SSI is based on low income, low assets. So if you've accrued a lot of money, 10 grand, they are not going to pay a homeless person $10,000. That's what it comes down to. They put it in installments. You get $25, basically $2,500, and they're getting away from paper checks. It's a virtual bank up in the clouds. They create a number for it. They deposit money in, and they just send you a little debit card. And this person has a debit card with that amount of money. At the beginning of the month, their money goes on there, and they can do whatever they want. Okay, but it comes into installments. And then SSDI, they'll receive that in one lump sum. All right. And so this is commonly asked questions. I can go through these. How do I qualify for SSI? In order to qualify for SSI benefits, you must meet the medical requirements, mentally, physically disabled, permanently, severely, and also meet the financial eligibility, that left side of the umbrella. For SSI, can I have money in the bank? How much money are you allowed to have? Remember, that 30-day window, that 30-day snapshot. And they may go back 6 months, though. But they're going to look at a 30-day period and kind of see how much money's coming in and going out. Okay? And they say, well, if you have a couple, you're allowed to have more money. $3,000. Great. All right. For SSI, can I own a home or a car? Yes, you're allowed to own one vehicle. One vehicle per household. Okay? And you're allowed to own a home. And that doesn't count against your income and asset levels. Okay? I want to keep my SSI benefits. What steps should I take? Ongoing treatment, and I touched on that earlier about disability being permanent. It's not just so I can get money and then I don't have to take my meds, I don't have to go to therapy. No, you're proved that you are permanently and severely disabled. That's forever. So you have to maintain medical, what do they call that? Compliancy, basically. You have to stay on your meds, continually go to therapy. And mental, if it's strictly a mental case, they can review it every 12 months. They may ask for medical documentation. If there's a history of drug abuse, they can ask for urine samples from your outpatient clinic. You know, you have to stay eligible as well, medically as well as financially for SSI. Okay? Can I receive both SSI and SSDI? Yes, you can. Okay? Not everybody who has SSDI was making a lot of money. So SSDI return may be low, maybe below what standard state of California the feds pay. And that's about $850, $860 a month. So if your SSDI return is $400 and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you meet the eligibility for SSI as well, low income, low assets, you can receive both. You're not going to double dip, but you can receive the $400 from SSDI and then the $456 for SSI on top of that to meet the maximum for that state, $800 and some dollars. Okay? One amount, two sources. You never get away from child support, taxes. You have to clean up all your warrants before you'll make any money through these programs. If you owe child support, they can garnish those as well. Okay? That's just quoting some big law, but can't hide from that. Can I work and still receive SSI? Yes, you can. SGA is the term they use, substantial gainful activity. How much work can I do? It's kind of a double-edged sword because it's what kind of work you're doing as well. It's not just so much the money. It's how much physical exertion, what occupational functions are you using? What are you doing? Is it physical back-breaking shoveling? Or is it whatever it is? You have to stay medically compliant if you're receiving these. Okay? So they put a bar at SGA at right around that $1,040 monthly. Okay? You know, if you're applying, I suggest you don't work. It's not that you're going to get denied, but it raises a big flag and a whole other set of applications and questions and answers that they're going to want to know. How long you've been doing it. Okay? What are you doing specifically? And this is a general rule. And if you go part-time, they want to know, why can't you pick up an extra shift? You know? Is it, oh, well, I can't. I have 2 kids that I take care of full-time because there's no dad. Oh, so you're raising 2 kids on your own? How old are they? Well, one's a 2-year-old and one's a 9-year-old. Okay, so you're balancing school schedules, and now you're like, okay, I'm applying for disability benefits because I myself cannot take care of myself, but I have 2 dependents that I'm raising. There's some function there, and it's just questions that they're going to ask. Well, I get help from mom who comes over, and okay, now we're starting to fill in that function gap, but they're going to ask. Okay? And what is a payee? If a doctor says can't manage his own money, yes, he's permanently severely disabled, but we can't give this guy $1,000 every month because he's going to make bad decisions with it. Federal government can say, yeah, we're going to pay you disability benefits, but you have to have a payee, which is somebody that gets the money and distributes it to me. Now, the catch there is, if I'm the disabled person, I get to pick who my payee is. And it might be my pusher. That's unfortunate. But friends, family, trustworthy person. There's agencies that Social Security have. If somebody does not have somebody to be a payee, they can go down and Social Security has a list of agencies that's recommended for it. Okay. And hopefully they will not get taken advantage of. Okay? Qualified organizations. All right. People who are receiving SSI benefits cannot get food stamps in California. Okay? Food stamps gets canceled, but they raise it. They give you another $150 on top of your federal money. Okay? No. Knowledgeable and compassionate staff, Disability Help Center. I think that's me. And that's it, guys. That's it.
All right, so we're gonna, anybody need index cards?
I can turn the lights on. Is that okay, Mike?
Index cards? Okay, can you pass the index cards over if you have some?
Yeah, if there's specific questions, per HEPA laws, we really can't go into your specifics. But if you have some general questions, just you can put your question on that, put it in the card, and I'll go through some right now in front of everybody. And then if it's going to be some one-on-one stuff, very specific to your claim or case or whatever, we can do one-on-ones. And like I said, I'm in no rush. I'll be here as long as you need.
Yeah, I read this down, but it might be easier just to explain it. Okay.
Well, you
Okay,
gotta wait.
hold on one second, because
Index card in the bag goes first. All
All
right.
Thank you, Mike.
If I pull that one, I'll come and give it to you, if that's all right.
So this is to protect, confidentiality and to ensure, that you get your questions answered first. All right, here you go.
Do I get to fill them all, or just one or two, or the lucky winner? First question. What is our success rate? That's a great card. I could put a sales hat on right now, and I could tell you I hire and fire my attorneys. I'm the one who interviews them. There's a couple rules that I have. They don't do workman's comp. They don't do any other conservatorship. They don't do parental control boundaries. They don't do anything other than disability law. Period. I don't want anybody. The handoff from my office to that attorney has to be seamless. And they have to be knowledgeable, licensed, great references, and compassionate. Bottom line, that high level has to go from myself to get them in the door, from my staff, all the way to hearing level, all the way to my attorneys. So that was my sales pitch. You have about a 50% better chance with an attorney. That's it. That's not great. That's not great at all. And when you go to the hearing office, even after you've talked to me and I say, you really need to get an attorney to go down there. Well, I think I can do it, Ken. Okay, let me coach you up. Don't wear your best outfit. Have your ducks in a row. Have an extra copy of your medical records. Be ready for these types of questions. And they go in there, and the judge, first thing they say is, do you have a rep? No, I don't. Okay, we're going to postpone this hearing. Here's a list of advocacy groups, attorney firms, and we're one of those groups on that list. So, yes, you have better chances to win with an attorney, someone who knows. It's not it's very quick. There's one hearing office in San Diego County. We were with 8 judges for this San Diego County for the last 2 years. They just hired 2 or 3 more. And that's it. That sees all of the hearings for all of San Diego County. So all 8 or 9 Social Security offices that grant that second appeal and send those files down to Social Security, they wait in line. It takes 12 to 15 months. Those judges, all they do all day long is disability hearings. So you want an attorney who knows those judges. DisabilityJudges.com is a website you can go on and you can see your percentage ratings of winning loss for each judge. There's not one in San Diego County over 40% win. LA's worse.
So they know you, the judges.
Yeah, judges know our attorneys. We know the judges. You don't get to pick the judge you get. When you get to the front of the line, they take a group and they send them to the administrative body for that judge in the chambers, and then you just find out. We get a letter saying, oh, this is who's representing us. Okay, this judge. Okay. We start doing the homework on the claim, blah, 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 get ready for that judge and how to present specifically to that judge. How they like it. How they like things worded. Okay? So, percentages are good, better, but not great. That's just Social Security for you. Okay. I'm sorry I tore that up. I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay. Next one. Oh man, there's a whole bunch in here. Do we have time? If you need to leave, I totally understand. I was supposed to be done 15 minutes ago. I'll probably never get invited back, but that's just roll with it. Okay. When your application is denied, are you given a reason for your denial? Yes. They will go in to specifics on that denial. They will list what medical sources they have. They will tell you the date that they received that. But they won't tell you what those medical records are and how many. Was it 3 years worth? Was it 500 pages? Or was it a fax copy saying I'm not sending you any medical records? We don't know. They won't let you know. The only way you'll ever see the medical records that go to Social Security is when you get to the hearing level. They'll electronically work them all up, and then your attorney, your advocate, you have access to everything that Social Security has. But until then, the first or second application, you won't know. Okay? So yes, and then they will tell you, we noticed on this medical source, it says you're at this level, or your GAF score is this. That tells us in this state there's so many jobs you can do, blah, blah, blah. We noticed on this, and it makes it sound very personal. Like, man, they know me. They really went through my records. No, they found the one box that checked off and said no, folded it up, sent it out, and denied you. I see it, the wording, over and over and over. It's like a cut and paste formula. Same paragraph, same setup, just different specifics in there. Okay? I'm really not negative. I'm really not a pessimistic person. I love our government. I love our country. It's just dealing with them, I see it over and over and over. Okay? All right. I answered that one. Oh, this is the long one? Okay. Okay, what do you advise? Okay, what do you advise to a person with disability history, i.e. 10 years, but lacks medical evidence, but work history or not lasting more than 3 months at one place or legal issues? Okay. If you're battling a disability, you're applying. We can end it there. You apply. Is incarceration go with drug use? Yes. Is there ups and down in drug use and incarceration? Yes. Is there good work history in between those incarcerations and drug use? Yes. That's reality. The people on the other end of Social Security are human beings that get that. And if there is work attempts in there, that shows good faith. Obviously, we want to bridge it and make it last as long as we can and prove that, hey, I'm not going back to jail this time. I'm not going to make these bad choices. But the other side of this question is medical records. What if I don't have medical records? Well, we need to get started on that. And it's a process. Sometimes it's, I got to get an ID first before I can do anything. And then I don't know how to get there. Okay, well, let's get you an ID first, and that may take a couple weeks. And then let's get you a compass card so you can get there, bus, get around. And we're making steps. Now we're going to get you to an outpatient clinic, a reader crowd. You can get an assessment there. Okay, you go get started there. Then you get signed on with this, and you get a Medi-Cal application going or whatever, and you start the process. Okay, that's the key. But starting this application, you start it. because these are the hurdles that we're going to go through during the application process. Okay? Did I answer that question? Go. Next. Mike, how we doing? How we doing on time? We all right? You don't want not throw me out of here yet, right? Okay.
8 o'clock and beginning.
Thanks for being patient, guys. Is SSDI based on more credits or income? Let's see, I'm going to keep those specifics there. SSDI is based on credits. Okay? Remember that quarterly, every 3 months? Got to make about $1,000, you get one widget. You can max out a year, you get 4 credits, 4 widgets. Keep throwing those widgets in there. You have to have so many. You kind of imagine a bucket with a red line on it. You just keep throwing widgets in there until you get above that red line. Okay, now I'm vested. It doesn't matter how much money you made, because that's how much money you get paid is proportional to how much money you made, and that tax percentage goes in there. But the widget is kind of just like a little calculator. Stacking it up, you're fully vested, you're getting that money, whatever it is back, you're going to get the majority of that back. Okay? And it's proportional. If you paid very little in, you're going to get very little out. Okay? I don't know what the second half of that question is. But if you know that question, see me afterwards and we'll go over that. How about short-term state or private disability? Okay. It just so happens that state disability, how long can you get SDI, state disability insurance? Anybody know? Maximum 12 months. Well, guess what the minimum is to prove disability for SSDI or SSI? 12 months. So state disability is intended. It's also an insurance plan. It's state disability insurance. So when you're working in the state of California, you're also paying for a short-term disability bucket, which is separate from the feds. This is state now, state of California. So if you're working and you're working here in the state and you get disabled, you first will apply for state disability insurance, because you can get that within weeks. That's a fill out on an application, just like through the EDD department, and you can start receiving money. Because they basically look right away. You have 90 days to apply for SDI, state disability. And it is considered short term. Because once you start getting paid, they're pulling it out of that bucket and they start paying you bi-weekly until it ends. Okay? 12 months is the maximum you can get it. I think they're paying it now for 6 months, and then you got to reapply, and then it is an extension of your tax dollars to the maximum of that 12-month window. Now what I tell people is you absolutely file for state disability right away. And if you get to that 6, 8, 10-month window, and you're going, whoa, I was supposed to be better, but I'm not. In my mind, I'm thinking, I got to prove that I'm disabled for a minimum of 12 months, so let's start my application now. So by the time I get all my ducks in a row and my things signed and filled out, I'll be at that 12-month mark. Okay? Does that make sense? So, yes, state disability is considered short-term, maximum 12 months, but it corresponds. If you know permanent disability, file for state disability, get that going. Focus all your energies on that. And then if you know it's going to be lifelong, permanent, goes right into the occupational, file for the next one. File for the feds. Do the SSI, SSDI right away. Most likely you won't be eligible for SSI because of your state money, depending on where you're at. But file for the feds. The feds are not going to kick in until that state bucket is gone. The feds are real good at like, okay, wait, little defense. Stay there, wait, you got to spend all that money first before you come taking my money. And you got to deplete that bucket, and then when that bucket's empty, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'll start taking it from my bucket and pay you. Okay? And you deplete it that way. That make sense? Okay. I think I answered that one. Yeah. Now private disability, that's completely separate. Private is insurance, like PERS and some of the unions. That is completely separate from Fed or state money. That's between you and your employer or your shop steward or your union rep or whoever it is that handles your private insurance. Okay?
Thank you.
Sorry. All right. We're just going through some question and answer here. Okay, good question. How much money does someone earn from SSI or SSDI per month on average? Now, SSI is intended for low income, low assets. So the Fed SSI rate is $700. I think it's $720. I think they just changed it. It's like $720 if you're going to max out on the federal money. Now, Social Security covers all of the United States. Okay? So $720 is guaranteed you no matter what state you live in. Now, in California, we cancel your food stamps, but the cost of living is so expensive here in California, they throw another $150 on top of that. Okay? So you max out at $800 and something. And they also take into consideration your living arrangements. Okay? So $860 is about, I would say the average is between $750 and $850. And they make adjustments based on your living arrangements. As in, if you share a room, you share a bathroom, you share a kitchen. Let's say you're homeless. You have to eat all your meals out. You get more money because you have to eat at McDonald's every single day. Every meal. Okay? But if you live in a home where you have a kitchen, that's the most inexpensive way to eat. Social Security is all about money, budgeting, figuring out how they can give you the bare minimum to survive. Okay? So, an SSDI, I can't tell you that. If you're making minimum wage and you have sporadic work, your income may come back 100, may come back 400. If you're, I don't know, middle of the road, 25 to 55K, it could be $1,000, $1,200 a month. That comes back from your tax dollars if you've worked for 20, 30 years. Just depends on how much money you put in. Okay, so SSDI is proportional to how much you put in. SSI, it's basically a formula that Social Security goes to. Okay? Can you go to school while on SSI? Great question. Goes right along with, can I work while I'm on SSI? Yes, you can. Absolutely. Why would they be concerned if you were going to school?
You can handle sitting in classes all day and doing homework, and you ought to be able to have
Understand timeline, reading books.
meeting deadlines, yeah.
All that good stuff. Concentration, writing, typing, reading, listening, all of that. In social settings, might even be assisted school. Yes, you can. Absolutely. They're going to want to know your schedule. What's your intention? So, yes, you can. Absolutely. If you're carrying 15, 16 units, giant question mark just went right over the top of your head. Okay? Understand. You guys are all on the same page as me. Good. Yearly review requirement. What is required? They usually want you to submit medical records. Okay?
For the SSI?
Yes. If it's a mental only claim, yes. Every 12 months they're going to ask for medical records. They may send out adult function reports, which is basically a big questionnaire they give you, and they want to know what you do every day. What you do literally, what do you do all day is one of the questions on there. What do you do all day? Well, I wake up and have coffee. You know, I mean, do you brush your teeth every day? How often do you shower? Why do they care about that stuff? You know, they want to know function. What train of thought is going on? What is the habits you have? What is the environment in which you live in? Okay? So 12 months, sometimes 5 years. It all depends on what your medical records say. And it's telling Social Security. And it's that DDS, that Disability Determination Service, that gathers your medical records and looks. There's an overwhelming amount of permanent and severe disability, never going to change, pattern, and the prognosis. It's only going to get worse. Not going to get better. No review necessary. Done. Especially if you're close to retirement age. Because what happens at retirement age for SSI and SSDI? The big retirement bucket of money steps in at that point in time. SSI and SSDI is intended to get you to full retirement age. It's intended to build that delta between when you stop working or cannot physically work anymore to when you reach full retirement age. Okay? Because when you reach retirement age, you're automatically going to go into the retirement system.
And you said retirement age is on the formula? I mean, there's a formula online?
Yeah, you'll have to find out what year you were born.
Oh,
You just type in the year you were born, and it'll tell you what your full retirement age. And it's specific to everybody. Obviously, everybody's born in a different year. But the younger people, the farther it out it is. Why is that? We're living longer. People are living 110, 115. Kidding me? Wow. And Social Security, your retirement money, 65 to 105, they weren't planning on that. Okay? What's the other one? Mental health court. Do you participate in reviews? Mental health court. I'm not sure what that is. So if that's your question, get with me after. I'll figure that out. That might be what happens in a lot of claims is you have adolescents or children disability claims, and when they become adults, the requirements at which they need to meet disability requirements change. When they're younger, it's all about growth patterns. It's all about social skills, reading, writing, walking, talking, very basic. When you become an adult, now the requirements are a lot more specific. Social Security says at 18, you're physically grown. At this point in time, now you're going to be subject to the big retirement because the age of the workforce is 18 to 45. That demographic supports our country. And they want you to work from 18 to 45, the bare minimum. And to get out of that, you have to prove permanent and severe disability, unable to work. So mental review, a lot of times, a lot of child claims, they just get paperwork in the mail. You're coming up on a birthday, cite case. And that is through a whole different agency. That's not through disability. That's straight with DDS. That cuts out the application process. You have a kind of a small office visit. And if that's what we're referring to, I'm aware of those. I don't think it's titled that, but anyway, I just want to touch on that. Okay? Hopefully I answered that one. How do you compare with ALSUP? Okay? I don't know what ALSUP is, so if that's your question, get with me afterwards. Okay? And I think this is the last one. Mike, do we have time for this last one? Okay. Should family members attend judge's hearing? No. They're not going to be allowed to. Children are going to have to stay in the waiting room. And I've sat in a waiting room many a time with crying kids. They want to be right by mom's side. If it's they will provide anything you need, whether it be hearing impaired, physical mobility issues, they will provide anything and everything they want. But it is not I hate to even use this term, Judge Judy courtroom. It's a long, one-level conference room. There's a marshal there, the judge, proceedings, everything's being recorded, it's very organized. How long do you think they last?
10 minutes.
Yes. They allot an hour. They allot an hour. They don't take an hour.
And we're from Imperial County, and the judge is on a screen. It's a law judge from San Francisco. It's not a real person. And you are allowed to have an advocate sit in the room with you, but you're lucky if it lasts 15 minutes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They are trying to do that, especially in the States. Remember, how long was the wait to get to a hearing? 12 to 15 months, right? Mm-hmm. So what they do is they can't legally force you to do that, so they send it out, especially advocacy groups like me. I don't want a video screen hearing. I don't want a judge in Idaho. Mm-hmm. I want that judge to see, smell, hear, interact physically with my client. I want him to see it, whatever that may be. I want it to be very personal. But we're so inundated with claims that they're just trying to get them done. And if they can outsource it to these cities and states that are not inundated, like New York and San Francisco, and these cities that are just compacted, they're longer. Waits are 2 years in some of these cities. And they're outsourcing them out of state. If you can get away from that, get away from it. Okay? If you can't, you can't. If you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. And yes, we do them. It's one of those things where we start representing someone and that person moves, but they don't want to give us up. I can't afford to fly my attorney, but I'll do a video hearing if I have to. Yes, go ahead.
Do you think it's better to do that if it saves time on getting here?
Depends on each claim. Sometimes absolutely time is of the essence. We'll take it and we'll make the best out of it. If it's something that can't wait, especially with the homeless clients, financial needs, can't wait that. And it's not a huge gap. You'll get a claim maybe in 10 months versus the 15. So it's not immediate. People think, well, I want that video because I can get it done right. Oh, you're still going to wait 6 months. And then we'll get on the judge's docket, and that very well may be 2 months out.
Okay, so Kenny, how are you doing?
I'm done with the questions.
Okay, well, actually, we're moving on to the second round.
Okay, second round.
The second round of questions, we still have the audio recording on, but you can ask any questions you want. And then once this round is finished, we'll turn the audio recorder off, and then you can have another round of questions. So this round gets priority. So anybody with questions, raise your hand.
Bonus round. These questions are worth 5 points. Actually, she had her hand up first.
It's just gonna be one word answer. So the $1,000, $40 a month maximum income, is that gross or net for SSI?
The maximum amount of taxable income. So whatever you're putting on, so what is that, net? Because
No, it's gross.
gross. I apologize.
So
Gross
it's
is
gross.
first, take taxes, and then it's what you
Right,
net
okay.
actually bring on board, right? So it's gross. I apologize. So it's whatever you're filing taxes, all the money you make. Okay?
I have a situation, I have an individual that has mental illness for 9 years. She's an adult, has a car that's had her car all 9 years, has 280,000 miles, has concern about the safety of it and her safety. I have a nephew that wants to replace it. That become a problem, replacing something in regard to SSI?
Let Social Security know you're doing it.
Yeah, I know, but is there a,
No.
he asked the dollar value. He said, he almost talked about buying her a new one. I said, I don't know how smart that is.
You got to imagine, if you go out and buy her a new car, you gift it to her. You got to let Social Security know.
Yeah. But
Okay? But the assets is not there.
Okay.
But what you're concerned about is if you just go put $3,000 down and now she has a $500 a month car payment.
Yeah, no.
That's income coming in and income going out.
It's an outright gift, but he was worried about how much money he should spend on the car.
You can buy new cars. You
Is it
can.
okay?
Yes.
Because he was worried about the psychological effects on the government in regards to her SSI.
You need to let Social Security know.
Okay,
That's it. You just need to go, I'm going to go buy. I would encourage you not to buy a high-end car.
that's right. I agree
I
with
mean,
that.
you just got to be smart about it. But people do it all the time. They
You
need
do
cars.
it.
They need stuff.
If they buy it, you let Social Security know in advance? Or?
Yes.
Okay, in
Let them
advance.
know in advance. They're going to want to know where the money's coming from.
Okay.
So you can say it's a gift from a
Absolutely.
relative or another family member wants
Absolutely.
to help the person.
Within the gift guidelines.
You have to, absolutely. And you got to consider that. If the key here is you don't want to lump sum money them.
That's right.
You can
Right.
provide them with health and welfare needs.
Right.
Period. You can. Repaint the house. Repaint their room, rugs, beds, supply them with what they need. Go on vacation. Take a mental month. Whatever it is, provide them. If it's something substantial like that that goes on that income and assets level, you need to let Social Security know ahead of time. They're going to want to know where that money comes from. And let's just say it is. You buy them a real nice car. I'm going to gift her 30 grand. Okay. Well, that window for that 30-day month, she may not be eligible for SSI. They may take that $850 away because you just gifted her 30 grand. But then the next month, when there is that 30 grand is gone and that car is now her asset that is protected under her income and asset shell, she's back to receiving her money. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
No,
but
it doesn't.
What a big hassle. though.
It is a total hassle, but if you
Paperwork
let Social
and
Security
going
know
in,
ahead of time, because if they go, well, where's she going to get this 30 grand from? Well, she's been stockpiling it. Well, how long has she been doing that? 2 years. Okay, she's not only canceled, but now she's going to owe 2 years back pay.
Yeah.
So the key here is you let Social Security know.
Yeah.
It goes in her name. She's allowed to have it. Okay? But they're going to maybe take that spike in that gift, and it may count against her for a month. Okay?
Would it be longer than a month?
Why would it be?
I don't know. So,
Once it's in her name, she's allowed to have it as an asset.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Just one car.
Yeah, just one vehicle. And it's got to be within range, like I said. But you got to let Social Security know when you're going to make major purchases like that. They just want to know where the money's coming from, and that's it. Okay? Wow.
We dial this number, what's the wait time, to get to see you, or one of your attorneys?
Depends on what the question is. 48 hours to get,
okay.
to get an appointment.
Because this is, the reason I'm here, this is the carrot in front of my loved one's face.
Okay.
To get him a diagnosis,
Okay.
to document. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
he's skating across the country.
Okay. And the SSI and SSDI, it'll follow you wherever you go.
Okay, well, I don't want him to skate across the country. I wanted to go see you on 4th Avenue. I don't want him to rollerblade to New York.
Yeah, so, yeah, have them call.
Okay.
I have 2 receptionists because my phone rings. I get anywhere between 100 and 150 phone calls a day. Just people calling. So I've got 2 receptionists. They're going to ask you a couple questions right out of the gates.
Okay,
You know who you're calling.
all right.
If it's a Medi-Cal question, whatever it is, they're going to try to field it and fend it depending on what it is. If you need to talk to a case manager, like I said, I've got 5, 6 depending on the day, and they have what we run a Prevail system. It's like just an attorney appointment schedule. They have access to it. We update it every minute. It's just a constant feed. They look on there, depending on what they need, they get on the calendar. If it's the same day, you call in the morning, we might be able to see you that afternoon, but for sure the next day, no later than 48 hours. That's my rule.
That's great.
So I want you seen, I want you right away. And if it's a dire needs situation, we might be able to do it right then and there. If it's inside a behavioral health unit and they're whatever, I mean, they come up. We can try to get that done. If I have a claims rep available, they will field that call right then and there. And we talk to people that are incarcerated as well. So they can call us directly from anywhere. I have a toll-free number on my business card as well. Any questions?
You ever heard about King Solomon?
King Stallman bail bonds. I'm not going to get you out of jail. I can't say that. I actually have done that. Giving them a ride to the hearing office. That's fun stuff. Yes.
Okay, noticing everything you talk about, if they don't, the amount of how many they do turn down. I'm asking you this on the basis of how you do, the people you do see. How many would you think, just off the top of your head, a percentage-wise, actually come into your office with fries on a
Oof, that's a loaded question.
what I'm trying to do is just try to figure out why the system is so particular. And what I'm trying to say is that maybe so many people are pushing the system who shouldn't be pushing it.
Yeah. The nice thing for us is because we're a legitimate office and a business, we assess everybody that comes in.
Okay.
We assess them. We have that right. I am privately funded. I don't get grant money. I'm not held hostage by verbatim on a contract for the city or the state or the government. I'm privately funded, so I can assess anybody. I can refuse. I have a very small percentage of fraud walk in my front door. Most people who are fraud don't go into a business. They learn from their sister or their brother or their pusher or their rent or their whoever how to file. They can go online. They can walk up to Social Security. They don't have to have an attorney. They don't have to have anything to go up and apply. And it proliferates itself. Fraud will continue to be there. And it's unfortunate. It is on the table. We can talk about it. I can try to change as much as I can, but it's there. It's unfortunate. Very small percentage comes in my door. I know it's there though. I see it. I see it all the time. And I think that's why the percentage that the judges and the judges' chambers are so low on granting, 30, 40%, because they see it at their front door and they just send them away. It's unfortunate. It is part of our culture, though. Question?
On the income and assets, the 30-day window, if you're making money because of disability through the VA, is that included?
The VA and SSI and SSDI are parallel programs, and they're based on need. SSI won't count the VA money, but the VA will count disability money. They will look at that bucket and reduce your VA benefits. You have to be aware of that. But SSDI will look at it, they'll count it as income and assets. But if you're disabled and eligible, you can receive it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the VA may say, okay, if you're going to start receiving federal money on top of your employer, who may be the state or the feds, they're going to reduce benefits. And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, you're going to be receiving more money with both of them versus just one standalone.
Okay, now we're entering the third round. So
I'm exhausted, Mike.
I know. So we're going to be turning the audio off. Is that off? Tell us when it's off.